The Cotswolds is an area of outstanding natural beauty in the southwest corner of England. On my recent trip here, I spent a couple days in London before picking up a rental car and heading out to explore the beautiful Cotswolds. My very first stop after leaving London was the amazing Highclere Castle. As you can see, this is where Downton Abbey was filmed. I almost didn't get to see it because this was the last day tickets were available and they were completely sold out, but I took a chance and showed up, and thanks to a lovely parking attendant, I was able to walk in with a ticket. I was staying right in the center of the Cotswolds in a lovely little village called Painswick, and I was actually doing a house sit where I was taking care of these lovely little girls, Tiggy and Misty. By the end of the week, these were my best little friends. Painswick is often referred to as the Queen of the Cotswolds, and St. Mary's Church is the centerpiece. Make sure if you visit, you take a walk through the 99 yew trees. There's only 99 because legend says that the devil prevents a 100th from being planted. So I've come to Gloucester. It looks like it says Gloucester, but it's pronounced Gloucester, to visit the cathedral, which part of Harry Potter was filmed in the cloisters. I had to go grocery shopping today anyway, and I was going to go into Stroud, and then a lady at the church in Painswick recommended that I come to Gloucester to see the cathedral, so I'm doing my grocery shopping here as well. And I think I might stop in for some afternoon tea while I'm here too. Gloucester Cathedral is an amazing place to visit. It's famous for, among other things, its collection of stained glass, which dates back to the 14th century. It's also famous because scenes from both Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone if you're in England, and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets were filmed in the cloisters. After visiting the cathedral, I stopped for my very first of many cream teas. I've just parked the car up at the car park and I'm walking into Castle Combe. I got a little later start than I wanted today. I'm not gonna have the best light because it is so sunny in England this week. I don't know what's happening, and I'm not complaining because it's gonna rain next week. It's just been really sunny and hot, but I'm really excited to see Castle Combe. It's supposed to be one of the cutest village in England, so I'm really excited to see if it lives up to that. Maybe it's not the best starting point for the Cotswolds, because if it is the top, then everything's downhill from here. But I think it'll be okay. I'm walking back up the hill from Castle Combe, and it's so small. I could have been there for 10 minutes and been done, but I was taking pictures. I stopped and had a piece of cake, sat in the churchyard. It was really cute. I would stop here again. Paid for 3 hours parking. Didn't need an hour. This hill is no joke. Also, an hour made a huge difference in the amount of parking available. I've made it to my second Cotswolds village of the day, Lacock. There's a lot of stuff named Cock here. Makes me laugh every time, such an American. So I'm visiting the Lacock Abbey, and one of the things this place is famous for, other than being just a very grand abbey, is part of Harry Potter was filmed here. So we're gonna go see what we see. Lacock Abbey started as a nunnery in the 1200s before becoming a Tudor family home in the 1700s. In the 1800s, it became a Victorian family home, and in 1835, the first photographic negative was captured in the Abbey from this window. After visiting the interior of the house, you can walk around the back and enter the cloisters. This is where the nuns lived and also where many Harry Potter scenes were filmed, including the room where Dumbledore kept the Mirror of Erised, Quirrell's classroom, and Snape's potion room. I'm just leaving Lacock. It's pronounced Lacock, not Lacock. Lacock Abbey, and it's really amazing. Not only were there a lot of Harry Potter scenes filmed in the cloisters, but this was the home to the man who invented the photography negative, and it's considered the birthplace of photography. There's a photography museum that I'm walking to now. It's part of the entry fee. The village of Lacock is definitely worth a visit as well. There are also several Harry Potter scenes that were filmed here. They have a sign to help you find them, but they include Slughorn's Hideaway, the Babberton Arms, and Lily and James Potter's house. I decided to hop in my car and eat my Cornish, no, it's not the Cornish, my cheese and onion pasty because it's hot outside and the car is the only place. The only place that has air conditioning. Okay, so I just got gas, or they call it petrol here, and they looked at me funny when I called it gas, but I just got petrol for the first time here, and I did an absolutely horrible job. First of all, the machines do not take cards, at least at this petrol station, and so I went inside and I'm like, do I have to pay first? And she's like, no. You get your petrol and then you pay. So I was like, okay, no problem. Then I couldn't get the petrol gas cap door open. There was like not a switch. The car was locked. It won't open when it's locked. And then they don't have the little clicker that you flip down that tells you when it's full. So I had no idea when the tank is full. I know I didn't need that much gas. So I stopped at like around 10 pounds and I'm like, that should be good, maybe-ish, no idea. Yeah, so I pulled the nozzle out and then it didn't look quite full, so I went to squirt a little bit more like while looking. And got gas, it like exploded out all over my leg and foot and arm. So then I had to go in and ask if I could wash, and they don't have restrooms at the petrol stations like they do in the States either, so that was fun. Anyway, better next time. Bye! My last stop of the day was Bradford-Upon-Avon, and I didn't really do a lot of research before I visited, but it is such a cute place to go. I did stumble upon this Saxon church, which is ancient, and was so cool to see this really old architecture still standing. I was taking a picture and this lovely gentleman named Michael stopped me and asked if I was visiting, told me he was a history teacher, and proceeded to tell me a little history of Bradford-Upon-Avon.
If you look on the right at the far end of the shambles here,
okay,
you will see a stone building with a Gothic arch. It used to be the courthouse in the 16th and 17th century. And in the early days of that, a witch here in Bradford-on-Avon was burnt at the stake outside the courthouse at the other end of the shambles here.
I'm not sure if this is what he was talking about, but it was all I could find. Then I headed back across the river to my car and headed home. Day 3 and 4 is when I visited Bath and the Jane Austen Festival. I made a video specifically about that, which you can watch at the link right here. On day 5, I actually spent most of the day having lunch with some friends who live in Liverpool that I met years ago in Jamaica. And after lunch, I headed over to Stow-on-the-Wold. Fortunately, by the time I got there, most of the shops were closed. They all seemed to close at like 4, but I walked around the town and then headed over to Upper and Lower Slaughter, which were some of the cutest villages I saw in this entire 2-week trip. I wish I had had longer there. And then I headed over to Bourton-on-the-Water, which was another really cute village, and it's a lot bigger than Stow-on-the-Wold or the Slaughters, so there were still things open. There were tons of people out walking along the river, having picnics, and really enjoying a beautiful day. Today I headed to the village of Broadway because they were having a food festival. And I don't know why I thought that a food festival was going to have like a lot of really quaint English foods, but it was very modern. There were food trucks, there was vegetarian food, and cider and beer and lots of barbecue and buttermilk fried chicken. I ended up getting this traditional sausage roll and then heading over to Broadway Tower. If you want to go inside the tower and climb up it, there is a charge, but you can visit the exterior for free. You just have to pay for parking. Even if you don't go in the tower, this area is still listed as one of the best viewpoints in all of England. It was a bit cloudy and hazy, so we didn't have a fantastic view, but it was still beautiful. There's a picnic area, and it's just a very nice space. I've just gotten to Chipping Campden, and it is pouring down right now. I'm gonna hang out under the tree and see if it stops. Even though it was raining, I think Chipping Campden was probably the cutest village that I went to. It's a little bit bigger, but it's adorable. They actually have walking tours put on by volunteers. I did not know this ahead of time, so I did not go on one. But there are so many things to see in this little town. There is this marketplace, and they were selling like sheep's wool. So many little decorations and beautiful lanterns, and every door has something interesting. There were knockers or cute little names. The doors were all really cool. It was so much fun walking down this main street. They even had thatched roof houses. I made my way over to one of the more touristy areas, to the main church, and the gate looked like it was probably older than the church. The approach was so cute with the trees, and the cathedral itself was so impressive. It was pretty big, and all these churches that I'm seeing in the UK are just gorgeous, and of course the stained glass, you know I love. There has to be somebody buried in a church, or is it even a church? And the view was amazing. The Cotswolds is beautiful, and Chipping Campden is actually the start or finish, depending on which way you're going, of the Cotswolds way. I am really impressed with Chipping Campden. I wish I had allowed more time to spend here. So that's my advice to you. Leave more time for Chipping Campden. My final stop of the day was Stratford-Upon-Avon, which is the birthplace and home of the bard himself, William Shakespeare. It is a bit crowded, and it is a bit commercial and touristy, but if you love Shakespeare, you really should still come here because there is Shakespeare everywhere. And it's Shakespeare's birthplace, which you can visit his home. From when he was a child, there is a museum with some great artifacts and information about his writing and timeline and life, and then you can actually go in his birthplace. The house is so well preserved. They must have done so much work. This is the only room that I could film or take photographs in, so this is what you get. The house is really cool though. I highly recommend it. Down by the river, you can do one of the most popular activities, take a river cruise along the River Avon. There is also a Ferris wheel, and it is a lovely promenade to walk along the river. It's actually so gorgeous, and it was such a nice day. This is also where you'll find the Royal Shakespeare Theatre. I spent days 7 and 8 exploring Cardiff, Wales, and Stonehenge. Each of those have their own video that I will link right here. Burford is most well known for its main street full of shopping. There are antique shops and tea shops, and so many fun little places to stop and take a look. There's also a lot of history. I didn't get to explore a lot of it because I was making a quick stop on my way to Oxford, but I did do a little shopping. I stopped in the cutest bookstore to have a look around, and I had to stop in one of the sweet shops. There were so many sweet shops and bakeries. I chose this one. I absolutely love the little jars of sweets in all the sweet shops in the UK, and I grabbed some goodies to take home to my daughter before heading over to one of the many little shops to grab something to eat. Got myself a Cornish pasty to try. First of all, it's massive. It's a bit like a beef stew in a pie. So it's not bad. A little bland. English. Not bad. I was in a rush to get to my next stop, so I headed back to the car. Car park is quite full by 11:30. So I was watching Downton Abbey last night, and on a whim, I Googled where the village was, where they filmed Downton Abbey, and it happened to be this little village, Brampton, where I am now, happened to be really close to where I was going today, so I decided to stop by. And apparently, if you go to St. Mary's Church on the village board, you can find a map to the Downton Abbey Mile, which has filming locations. So that is what I'm doing right now. It's a little hard to see in the glass. The filming sites I found were the churchyard, which is in so many scenes, and this is the wall outside Mrs. Crawley's house, which actually isn't outside Mrs. Crawley's house, it's down the street. But you can see Mrs. Crawley's house. It's the exact same one. And then this is the Grantham Arms. It looks a lot different without the signage. And here's the map that shows all the filming locations. My final stop of the day was Christchurch at Oxford University. I was so excited to visit here. I've always wanted to see Oxford, and it did not disappoint. I did book in advance for a tour, which is an audio tour, so you have to check in and get your audio guide. It is a timed entry, which is why I was in such a hurry today, but the audio guide is actually really good. So one of the things people come here for is Harry Potter filming locations. This staircase is used in several Harry Potter films. You probably remember seeing Harry and Ron run into Professor McGonagall, and of course there are Potterheads everywhere. As far as Harry Potter goes, my favorite part was definitely the Great Hall. Even though this was not the actual filming location, it did inspire the Great Hall used in the films. This dining hall is used by students. You can see that they're setting up for dinner. It is closed during meal times because students eat in here every single day. Aside from the Harry Potter filming locations, there's actually a lot of really beautiful and historical things to see at Christchurch, especially Christchurch Cathedral, probably one of the most famous cathedrals in the world. It was so pretty, and I know I say that about every cathedral, but this one blew the rest of them out of the water. From the amazing tiled floors to the decorative ceilings, this place was outstanding from top to bottom. And as you exit, of course, there are some more Harry Potter filming locations, the cloisters and hallways, just like so many other places. Oxford and Christchurch are definitely worth a visit. I wish I had had time to go punting, which is one of the most famous activities that takes place at Oxford, but I'll have to save it for next time. I woke up this morning to deer right outside the window by my car. They were so cute. It was an absolutely beautiful day, but I was exhausted from all my exploring, so I decided to take a true day off and relax. I decided I was just going to hang out at the house. This is where I was staying. Like I said, I was house sitting and the owners were coming home. So I got my stuff packed and cleaned up the house and just kind of hung out and rested before my early morning flight the next day. If you want to know more about the house sitting that I did, let me know and I'll make a video on it. It's a really great deal. I got to stay here for free just in exchange for taking care of those two gorgeous kitties. And the homeowners were the nicest people. I definitely recommend house sitting. That is the end of my UK adventure. I had the best time with the 2 weeks that I spent here, and I cannot wait to get back again. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, and if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an adventure. See you in the next one.